This is the Real English Conversations podcast.
where you'll find the lessons and advice you need to be able to confidently use your English in the real world. Hi, everybody. This is Amy Whitney from RealEnglishConversations.com, and this episode is our fourth and final episode where I'm doing a lesson series that's really based around motivation, being consistent, and really understanding how to get to that next level with your English learning. So if you haven't yet listened to the first 3 lessons, I strongly recommend going back and starting from the first lesson because I have some really great tips and everything is going to make a lot more sense when you're doing it in order together. Today, we're going to be dealing with a very, very common problem that language learners face at one time or another, or probably several times, and this is related to having low motivation. The times where I have seen low motivation in myself are generally when I've taken a bit of a break or I haven't been very consistent with my studying, or sometimes when you're stuck on one of those horrible language plateaus where you're just trying to do everything you can and it doesn't seem like anything you're doing is really making any progress. That can be really frustrating, and after a while, it kind of leaves you unmotivated to try to continue moving forward. For me, in general, when I'm not very motivated to learn a language, I usually focus on things that don't really help me very much. I tell myself that I need to practice, I need to learn, I need to do something, and then I choose activities that don't really give me a lot of value or a lot of benefit, or I open up my computer with the intention of studying something, and then I usually end up on YouTube and watching a video either in English or Spanish, but that's not really the type of behavior that is going to get me that progress that I'm looking for. And the truth is that this demotivated feeling that you have where you really don't want to study, like it feels more like a chore rather than something that you enjoy, when we let this carry on for too long, it usually leads to a period where you stop studying altogether. There are times where a short break of maybe 1 or 2 weeks is what you need just to give your mind a rest and really get your energy back. But in most cases, if you're feeling unmotivated for a very long period of time, this is probably going to lead to taking a break from your English studies that is just because you don't want to do it and you don't see the benefit of doing it. And the longer that that break continues, the more difficult it is to get started again. And you can imagine if you take a break for 6 months or a year, you can lose a lot of what you've worked so hard to get. Like, really, think about how long have you been studying English at this point? How would you feel if the last year or 2 years of the progress that you've made, all of those words and phrases and effort that you've been making to try to improve your skills, if you lost all of that progress just because you took a break for 6 or 8 months, how would that make you feel? I know for me personally, that's something that's really, really hard. To know that you've put in so much time, so much effort, so much dedication, and that you have a really clear goal. You know what you're doing. You have a strong reason why you're doing it. Like, I'm not learning Spanish as a hobby. I live abroad. I need to do this. And it's so frustrating to think about, oh man, I've been taking Spanish lessons for like a year, twice a week, and my level has gone down. Like, that's not a very motivating thing to work with. So I feel your pain. I know what you're going through, and I'm going through this process right now. And I'm going to share exactly what I'm going to do and the same thing you can do to give a little kickstart to your motivation and to really start to feel like you're making progress again. Okay, so here's the idea. This is the solution to really fix that low motivation. You need to do a series of small activities that are not too difficult and usually something that you enjoy that's going to lead to you making quick progress and noticeable results. We need to try to do this within probably about 7 days because the first day is going to be difficult. You're not going to be motivated, but you're going to figure out your plan. The second day, you're going to do it out of willpower, meaning you don't want to, but you realize what you're trying to do, so you show up and you do that activity. But by the third day, you need to see some progress. You need to feel that what you're doing is making a difference with your language skills. And when you start to feel that, it's going to get easier for day 4, day 5, and day 6. Now, you might be thinking right now, okay, great, Amy, that totally makes sense. I just need to pick an activity, I need to work at it, and I'll probably get some motivation. And yes and no. We need to really make sure that you're picking an activity that is going to lead you to see progress in an area that you've really wanted to see progress. You need to be able to notice those results. And this is something that a lot of students need some guidance on. For example, when I ask people how they want to improve their speaking, sometimes they tell me that they listen to podcasts of our conversations, like this podcast, because Curtis and I have conversations. And yeah, that's cool for listening, but it's not really going to be very effective for speaking. So this can be an area where you might want to have a little bit of guidance so that you're working on the right things that are actually going to give you results for the skill that you want to improve. But just to give you a really quick example, if you're somebody that wants to improve your speaking, I'm probably going to tell you to just book a 30-minute conversation practice session with a teacher, or if you have a conversation practice partner, call them up or send them a message and tell them that you'd like to schedule a time to talk for 7 days from now. And what that's going to do immediately is to give you this feeling of, oh no, what have I done? I have to speak with someone within the next 7 days. And you're going to do what you need to do over the next period of time so that you can be a little bit more prepared and have the opportunity to practice speaking a little bit before the lesson. Probably doing some speaking practice questions or some exercises where you're describing some different things, just to start getting your brain thinking in English again and speaking at the same time. If you need to have some speaking practice activities, you guys can just go over to our website, register as a free member. We've got tons of speaking practice in the sample lessons that are available to our free members. So if this example that I've described relates to what you want to do, you're welcome to follow that plan. Now, I know for a lot of our listeners, you guys have really been working at the English language for a long time, and you have some pretty powerful reasons for why you're learning. Some people are living in the United States or Canada. They've relocated there to have better opportunities, and the language barrier, the difference that they have between their skill in English and the job that they should be able to get is not really achievable at this point. I also have immigrants that live abroad. They live in Canada, for example, and they're not feeling like they're able to connect with the community, and they kind of feel like they're stuck in their native speaking community with their friends, and they're not really able to get out and connect with the local people to have that authentic experience and really to be able to connect with everybody. It doesn't matter which culture they're from. If they speak English and you're living abroad in an English speaking country, you want to be able to connect with anyone in any type of situation. But when language is the barrier there, that can be something that is really, really difficult. There are other people that live abroad, and English is becoming more and more important because we have so much globalization that's happening, and English is the language of business, and it's the common language between a lot of different countries. So the stronger that your English can be, the more opportunities you can have. Other people already know this very well, and it's part of their career, and they're having to face this English communication, and they just don't feel happy with how they're expressing their ideas. It doesn't have enough detail. They don't feel comfortable volunteering to speak in the meetings, and they're struggling to understand what other people are saying. These are the students that we help. If you are one of these people that has these problems and you're not really sure how to get to that next stage in a reasonable amount of time with strategies and techniques and ideas that are going to work, you really need to come and check out our New Year's offer that we have. We only have 20 spaces available for the unlimited language coaching sessions with me, but our programs in general have what you need. We even have monthly plans that include lesson credits where you can schedule language coaching if you want. So it doesn't have to be this unlimited package, but honestly, guys, this unlimited language coaching with Amy for 3 months and all of the things that are included in our program, that's an amazing deal. And especially considering that I have not been able to accept new private lesson students for over a year because I have such a long wait list. And my students stay with me for so long, I don't have a lot of space in my schedule to accept new people. So this is an awesome opportunity for you. If you want to get in, you want to learn with me, you want me to give you that guidance and support and motivation and create that consistency and that habit of learning English and participate and practice with other people. You're not just learning on a computer, you're learning with other people. You're interacting with native speakers and you're in a community of amazing English learners just like you that are super motivated, super interesting from all over the world. We have students from Japan and Korea and India and Brazil, everywhere across Europe, and many people that are living abroad in Canada and the United States because they really realize the importance of speaking English really well for their life abroad. So with that being said, I would love to start 2021 working with you. I want to be part of your success. I want to be part of you hitting new levels of your English in the shortest time possible and seeing better results than you've been able to see in the past period of time. And even if you decide that you don't want to join our program, it's all good. We're here. We're going to continue sending out podcasts and lessons and things that you can use to learn, but do make sure that you use those lessons. Remember, we don't just send you those lessons because we think it's fun. We're sending you those lessons because we're trying to help you. And if you don't use them, that's not going to help you. So you actually need to do the work. You need to use the materials that the teachers that you're following are sending you and really focus on just following a couple of people that you really feel are going to help you to get to your goals. So that's it. That's a wrap. That's the last lesson of 2020. And I'd like to wish all of you a very happy new year. And I wish for the most success for you and your family. And I hope that you have a good time, probably celebrating at home, but that doesn't mean that you can't have some fun. So happy new year from Curtis and I to all of our listeners. And I look forward to learning with you next year in 2021.